Human development from a lifespan perspective. The development of a human being is often explained through a lifetime perspective, which defines certain stages in a person's life cycle. Psychology considers these stages through the lens of the development of people's cognitive abilities and social and intrapersonal skills. By ascribing certain psychological characteristics to definite developmental steps and determining how these steps follow one another, psychologists manage to explain the evolution of a human being in terms of the physical and mental skills people acquire at a certain period of their life. The concept of age in psychology serves to denote the temporal characteristics of human development. In contrast to the actual age, determined by the number of years lived by an individual, the concept of psychological age denotes a certain stage of ontogenetic development, conditioned by the laws of the formation of the organism, living conditions, education, and upbringing. By now, many theories of periodizing psychological development have been developed. Lev Vygotsky systematized these theories in his book The Problem of Age and determined three broad categories where they fell. The first category embraced periodizations based on analogies with the step-by-step construction of other chronological systems. The most well-known of such periodizations belongs to Stanley Hall, who identified 5 stages of child development. He believed that from the moment of birth up to 5 years, the child mainly plays in the sand. Later, at the age of 5 to 11, aggressiveness and cruelty appear as children seek to reassert themselves. At a pastoral stage, which lasts from 8 to 11, children make up their world in which they imitate private space. From 11 to 15, children develop observation skills, and they become more cautious in their actions and words. Finally, after the age of 15, children begin to understand the function of money circulation and the role of science in the development of society. In the second group, Vygotsky included those theories of periodization that are based on certain signs of development. Thus, the periodization of psychosexual development, developed by Sigmund Freud, can be attributed to this group. In psychoanalysis, developed by Freud, psychosexual development is explained from the perspective of changes in the biological functioning of the individual. The experience of a person at each phase leaves its imprint on the human psyche in the form of certain attitudes, values, and ideals. In his periodization, Freud singled out such stages as the oral phase, from birth to 18 months old, the anal phase, 18 months to 3.5 years old, the phallic phase, 3.5 to 6 years old, the latent phase, 6 to 12 years old, and the genital phase, 12 years and older. In the oral phase, the child's mouth acts as the primary source of satisfaction of the basic organic need, and in the anal phase, the child learns to control his acts of defecation, experiencing pleasure in the process. In the phallic phase, a child begins to study his or her body and take an interest in intersexual relations, identifying oneself or herself with the parent of his or her gender. The latent phase is characterized by a decrease in sexual interest. At this phase, a child's energy is transferred to non-sexual goals such as studies and establishing friendly relations with the environment outside the family. Finally, at the genital phase, mature sexual relationships are formed. Children strive to find their place in society, choose a sexual partner, and create a family. A significant role in the second group of periodizations is given to the theory of Jean Piaget, based on the development of cognitive processes. The evolution of intelligence is represented in the periodization as a factor to achieve balance with the environment and is described through 4 stages. The first is the preoperative stage of thinking based on reflexes and adaptive reactions, and the second is the stage of preconceptual and intuitive thinking, in which children form ideas about objects and the ways to interact with them. The third stage presupposes the development of logical thinking, while the last stage is characterized by the advancement to abstract thinking and reasoning ability. In the third group, Vygotsky included periodizations associated with the identification of essential features of mental development. This group includes the periodization of Erik Erikson, the peculiarity of which lies in the fact that it covers the entire life of an individual, and not just the early ages. In his classification, Erikson identified 8 phases of human development that encompass a person's lifespan from birth to death, each of which is characterized by certain psychological characteristics. Psychologists describe the development of a person across a lifespan as a combination of the physical and mental abilities people have at a certain period in life. Though most lifespan perspectives primarily consider the evolution of a child into an adult, some theories, such as Erickson's, embrace the life of an adult as well. Despite the differences in approaches, all studies agree that each age is characterized by particular psychological, mental, and cognitive features inherent in a person. These features, ultimately, determine a person's potential and the best way to address the developmental issues at a certain period of time.